listening to
A to the K.
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 A to the K WrestleTalk podcast.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.
So here we are for segment 3, which this week is the pay-per-view, as it is every other week, which this week is TLC. And we are bringing you the results for the
TLC,
week.
what else would I like to call it? 6 matches and a pre-show.
Hey, that is a more snappier title, to be fair. And so the match card did consist of the pre-show of Daniel Bryan, Big E, Otis, and Chad Gable, taking on Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke, with the first team that I said picking up the win.
With the random amalgamation of Daniel Bryan, Big E, Otis, and Gable taking the win.
Basically, the Intercontinental scene that we care so little about that we are going to do anything with. So yeah, that happened. In terms of the main card, we kicked off the show with Drew McIntyre taking on AJ Styles in a TLC match. But oh wait, it became a triple threat match when The Miz cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase.
I need to talk about that.
Yes, we do. And was he successful? No, he wasn't.
Was he fuck?
So Drew McIntyre retained in the TLC match, and he is still the WWE champion. We had the SmackDown Women's title on the line with Sasha Banks defending against Carmella, and it was still boss time. So Sasha picked up the win.
Oh, Banksy.
Good old Banksy. The artiste that she is. We had the Raw tag titles on the line. The New Day took on the Hurt Business, and new champion alert, the Hurt Business picked up the win.
Nice.
Nice.
Probably. We'll find out shortly.
Maybe nice. We had the women's tag titles on the line with Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax taking on Asuka and a mystery partner. Who could it be? Woo! Whoa, it was shot fire. And this team of Asuka and Charlotte picked up the win, and thus they are the new tag team champions. So we had one team thrust together for no reason, dropping the titles to another team thrust together for no reason. So entertaining telly. We had the Universal title on the line with Roman Reigns defending against Kevin Owens in a TLC match. And unfortunately, Roman Reigns retained, because what an epic showing from Kevin Owens. But again, we'll come on to that. And the main event, Anthony.
The main event.
Should we put some lighters up for, well, it's probably a bad idea. It was the Firefly Inferno match, and The Fiend took on Randy Orton, and Randy Orton won when he burned to The Fiend alive. All that and more. Coming up right now, Anthony. So, do you want to take us through the highlights?
Let's talk about the good things that happened, let's say. Right. So, sort of a highlight for me, Carl, was the Money in the Bank's not a thing anymore. That's the highlight I'm going to give it. Because let's talk about the negative side of this, is that from a strategical point of view, this was a fucking dumb idea from The Miz. Because he was outnumbered then, and was like, I don't know what he was expecting. Like, I always thought the way they should have done The Miz was for him to try and capitalize when someone's weak. That's kind of the point, right? So I would have totally been on board if he'd have waited till, McIntyre had to give his all and was fucking exhausted, and he tried to capitalize at that point. But no, he inserts himself in it like a 3-on-3. No, like a triple threat. Just what the fuck was, like, as an idea, that was stupid. But I'm glad that The Miz hasn't got the title. No offense to The Miz. I didn't want him to take the title from McIntyre, and that was kind of the only option, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's a Raw superstar with the Money in the Bank box.
Like, so, what a shit show the Money in the Bank has been this year.
They totally fucked it up.
Oh
totally
my
fucked it
God.
up. Bear in mind, right, they didn't really fuck up the women's one, but the women's one was kind of a non-point because they were fighting for the belt in that shock reveal from Becky, which was, the best way they could have executed that, in all fairness. So we didn't have a women's Money in the Bank, and the male one just got totally fucking ruined.
For me, like, is it done? Is it done now as a concept? Because have they run out of things to do? Like, don't get me wrong, it's a great little marketing thing to have someone run around with a briefcase that's got WWE logo on it and like they're the money in the bank.
Yeah. And you can then buy said briefcase,
Mhm.
and they have a
Yeah.
different one every year, so you have to buy every year's.
Oh yeah,
You're a
100%.
collector.
But like, I don't know, like, is it done now? Because they had no plans. Like, obviously they went, okay, we'll go with Otis this year. And it was like, wow, okay.
People
And
like Otis. It's like, yeah, but think about where you have to go with that.
well, exactly. You know, I
Dickheads.
think it's just no surprise to anyone that I was fucking fuming with that outcome.
Well, here's another little fun thing that pisses me off a little bit, right? AJ was in that match.
That
So AJ got a shot now and ended up in the same match as the Money in the Bank match anyway. So, like, it didn't matter whether he won the fucking briefcase or not.
no, that's it. I feel like
I know these things can happen, but it was just kind of like, okay.
like it made sense at the time. Like it was like, okay, to have someone have, like think about it, the Royal Rumble, the show we love the most, like every year. For me, bar WrestleMania, but for you, not so much. But anyway, one of the best shows of the year is effectively a contract match because you win a shot at the belt, but
Yes.
it's already predetermined. You'll get it at WrestleMania.
Yeah, you
Money
get
in the
your shots
Bank
at Mania.
takes that a step further and goes, okay, it's a ladder match, but you win it and you get a shot at your choosing. So it gives the kind of the one with that briefcase a little bit more flexibility, to a little bit more opportunity to kind of make the best of any situation. But they've literally run out of ideas now because
But, see, I think they just don't want to bother with ideas because everyone always goes for the top prize.
Mhm.
Right? This is the bit that kind of bugged me. The Miz, on paper, looking at it, he's been a world champion. I'm not trying to disrespect him, but he knows he's not going to stand a chance against McIntyre. Right? It'd be like similar going up against Roman Reigns. He knows he's not going to stand a chance, right? Similar with Otis. Otis wasn't a main event guy, right? So why the fuck didn't Miz look at it, even if it was just like a spare of the moment, sudden idea, and go, I'm going to capitalize here and I'm going to go for the US title, at a point when they're at the weakest and no one will see it coming, because it doesn't have to be the main event title. Similar with Otis, I would have think a good way of executing it where Otis keeps the briefcase would have been to go for the tag titles and
Yeah.
do it that way.
No, defo. I think. Do you know what?
Even if they've all like kind of faltered, he runs out with the briefcase to cash in, and they're like, "Can you do this?" And they faltered over it, and then ultimately decide you can. Would have been fine, but they're not out of ideas just because they've got two people who are in really fucking strong positions in the main event title scene, and that's the only one that people ever want to go for. You could have a cruiserweight, like you could have Scotty 2 Hotty winning the Money in the Bank briefcase somehow, and then going, well, fuck, I guess I'm going to have to fight Roman Reigns, because apparently that's the only option you've ever got.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think that could be a fantastic angle for someone who is one title away from being a Grand Slam champion. And it's like one of the lower
motivation
card.
for doing it.
It's like one of the
That's why I
lower
went
card
for that one.
titles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like that way. It's not like you're holding up the whole fucking world title scene for a year, but do you know what I mean? You're still getting the story across.
Now, can I ask, and I might be wrong here, does the Money in the Bank contract keep you to the show you're on?
I believe it does. Yeah.
Does it? Okay. Because another idea I would have thought would have been fun would be for them to go, look, I'm not going to beat these guys, but I can take out Finn Balor.
Well,
but if they can't go around the shows, then I guess that doesn't work. But,
But I mean,
so I just feel like there's other shit they could have done with it.
That is something which I think at this point feels like, maybe that should be relaxed because they have run out of ideas for.
Yeah, and they've got a kind of small roster at the minute.
Yeah.
Not as small as some, but.
Yeah, so, I think for me, if they were to go, do you know what, I'm going to go after the Intercontinental title because I need that to be a Grand Slam champ, or like, do you know what, I think I've got a better shot of beating Finn Balor in NXT, or, do you know what, I want to cash this in as a tag team, like, you could have it, like, you could have done that with Otis, like, to be fair, but...
Yeah, but look at the bottom line of it, right? All due respect to Sammy, I love Sammy, he's a proper fun Weasley heel character, right? But he's the guy you go for, isn't he? He's the guy, you look at him and go, I might be able to get him. If somebody had cashed in to get the IC title off Sammy, would have made a lot of sense to me. He's had a match. He's exhausted anyway. He struggled to win that match. I could take this title. You got to look at realism as well, haven't you? And go, I'm not going to stand a fucking chance. There's no point cashing in on a loss. You know what I mean?
But I think as well, like the funny thing is, even in kayfabe, the Intercontinental title doesn't mean as much anymore. So like,
Sadly.
you've got an opportunity to get any belt you want. Who wants a fucking US title?
But this is
Who
the
wants
annoying
an IC title?
any championship should mean something. Having a belt
Well, that's it. It used to.
should mean something. And that is one of the O'Shites, funnily enough. But yeah, what was it talking about? Yeah, so it was a good thing that the Money in the Bank's done, because I don't want him to try and cash it in anymore.
No.
Like, he can't now anyway, but I was dreading it anyway. So I'm glad that it's done, and I'm glad that it's not affected anything. Fucking yeah, good.
And I think as well, like, you know, I do want to call out that I thought the match itself was fantastic. I thought Drew and AJ, you know, did a really good job of not going straight into like ladders or, you know, any of that kind of thing. They just
you got
had a
bit
good
of
match,
yeah,
and it was a match that we wanted to see. We got to see it. It was interesting. A lot of stuff happened. You know, Omos was present but didn't take away too much. And then obviously Miz did this fucking stupid.
Weirdly, you got like, didn't you get Morrison having a bit of a spot with Omos? So you did.
Well, exactly, yeah. So you had
from the match because they had their little bit.
Well, if anything, I thought it was clever because you had Omos like on the outside, kind of being there but not necessarily getting involved. Then you had the Miz kind of, you know what, I'm going to cash in. Omos got involved, and I was like, no, you're not. And he was the one who took the Miz out. And then he ended up going. I think Morrison tried to hit him over the back with a steel chair.
Yeah, and that was actually quite a funny
the chair smashed into smithereens, and then Omos basically chased him out the arena. So then it was kind of like they were the external factors removed, and that again I appreciated, because
it was done in, like you say, it was a clever way because it gave them a little bit of TV time. It gave a realistic reason why they weren't there. And yeah, it just that worked. In all fairness,
yeah. I think whoever was the producer of this match, you know, deserves some, you know, a lot of credit really, because I think we achieved a lot of things. It was, you know, we got to see the match between Drew and AJ, kind of a wrestling match, which was great. We got to see them with weapons. We got to see a cash in. We got to see stuff happen with like Omos and Morrison and Miz and all that kind of stuff. Then we got to see multiple, you know, attempts at people cashing in. And there was a few times there cashing in, multiple attempts at people getting the belt. And there was a few times there we were like, okay, they're going to win. No shit, they're not going to. So it was, you know, suspenseful. It kept you on the edge of your seat. So I did want to kind of call out, even despite all the shenanigans and weird shit, I thought the match itself was pretty good, to be fair.
Well, I'll give you, I've got to give it that. And it was kind of a joke highlight because I wanted to basically moan about Money in the Bank.
I agree though as well, because
the match itself was really good.
Yeah. The whole Money in the Bank concept has been shit since Otis won it. So,
but you can see it be super effective. Like, it's not a problem with the Money in the Bank idea, because look at Rollins cashing in. That was an iconic moment. Everyone remembers it. So it can work.
Oh yeah.
So my next highlight, Carl. Yes, that was a highlight. My next highlight, Carl, is the hair business, and I'm curious how you feel about this, because I think they really needed this. I think this is what the hair business needs to get back on track as a really good faction. So we've now got the US Championship with them. We've now got the tag champs. And I still think they need to pull Naomi in, who we haven't seen in a while, by the way, could still happen, and go for the women's belt. And I think their idea of getting all the gold and, you know, MVP strategically picking his stable could really work. And I think this is a step in the right direction. So I'm actually totally on board. And let's face it, the New Day didn't need to be tag champs. They're kind of overdone on that now anyway.
Yeah, I think for me...
Whatever, Carl.
Like, for me, it's not highlight, but it's not a no-shite. Like, I feel like New Day were champions, but it was like, meh. And now Hair Business are champions, and it's like, like, it's not a meh, but it's like...
The problem I've got is because the tag champs on Raw. So, like, and this might just be me, so I'm going to test this, right? Quickly now, tell me who they can face next.
On Raw?
That's the problem I had. Even if you think of one now, you take too long from straight away from a knee-jerk reaction. You go, who are the other tag teams? Because there fucking aren't any. Unless Retribution forms some sort of tag team amongst their ranks.
Oh, no. It's going to be in it.
Probably.
It's going to be Hair Business Retribution again.
So,
and that's when Ricochet joins. And it's going to be Ali and Ricochet taking on Cedric and Shelton.
Oh yeah,
Oh
that might
shit.
happen. But you see, and that's the thing. Like that's the only problem I've got with it. I think the belts should rightly sit with the hair business. I think it's a good step for them. But who are they going to face now?
It is horrendous. Like that is a fantastic challenge from you then to say, well, who? Because there's no one. There is literally no one, and it's like it's my job to watch Raw and to be invested in everything on the show, and I can't even think of a single tag team.
That's the worrying thing. You have to like look at the roster and go, "Oh yeah, they're kind of together." It's shocking. It's a shocking tag division, especially on Raw. If you look at SmackDown, you go, "All right, we've got Ziggler and Rude, kind of. We've got Shinsuke and Cesaro, kind of. We've got the Street Profits now. We've got the whatever the hang on. Do we technically have? Oh fuck! They're not going to do the Hardy Bros as a legit tag team, are they?
Oh God, don't, Anthony,
Sorry, I'm
don't.
sorry.
Why?
Come to me mind.
Don't.
So yeah, I'm just. This is where, and I've said it for a long time, and I'm going to say it again. And this goes for the women's and the men's. One set of tag belts. Unify the fucking things. You haven't got enough tag teams.
Yeah.
Well, don't unify the
Well,
women's
I
ones.
mean-
That'd just be one belt. That wouldn't work.
Well, I mean, by all accounts, many people have said that Vince doesn't care for tag team wrestling anymore, so it would make sense. I think.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, for me, I would actually unify them across the board. I would do NXT as well. I would have tag belts.
Well, I mean, I think if you are going to make make it into its own show, then absolutely. Like, what better way
Especially-
to?
Because you can kind of get away with it on the men's ones if you just unify the two main roster ones. But the women, they need NXT to have any semblance of a tag team roster.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, do the fucking lot of them, right? And we this is way too many belts now. Have a set of tag belts across all three. Have a set of women's tag belts across all three. Keep the IC and the US and even the North American. I don't mind that. They're your mid-card belts for each show. And keep your. I actually think potentially for me one main event belt as well. But it's kind of working. I don't mind Drew as a champion, and I don't mind Roman as a champion, so it works for me right now. But yeah, fuck all the other stuff.
Fuck the rest.
Fuck the rest. Yeah, so I actually think it's a good shout on the hair business front. I'm just a little bit worried for the future. Every highlight I'm listing has a negative to it. This isn't good.
I know, true.
Okay, so I don't know how you feel about this.
This is an okay for me. I'm going to say it.
I might have to hide after you say this one, right? I'm going to have to rephrase it. The fact that Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax aren't tag team champs anymore is a good thing.
Okay, I would accept that if it wasn't for the fact that you also wrote.
Fine. Asuka and Charlotte are the tag champs.
That's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing. And I will
not.
agree with you on that because we know that Charlotte is going to go for Asuka at some point for the championship.
So they basically took a fucking pairing of two, big, women that were, strong, whatever, and put them together as a team. And then they were like a formidable force. Now they've got the women's champion and a fucking former, fucking several-time women's champion.
The Formidable Force.
The Formidable Force. So it's the same shit again. It's like, why?
This is the basics of WWE going. These two are two really good wrestlers in their own right on a singles level. So they're obviously going to make a great tag team. It's not meant to work like that because you're meant to be able to work together and they don't always do that. But apparently that's how it works because you just throw Nia and Shayna together and they work. And now we're throwing Charlotte and Asuka together and it works.
Well, I think I probably would have rathered that they retained than have Charlotte a champion.
This is why it's a highlight for me because I do not want the belts on them anymore. They should never have had the belts. It's a shame that, again, and I've mentioned it before, I would have liked Rhea to turn up rather than Charlotte. It's one of them. Like, it makes more sense to me because you could give Rhea a push on the main roster. She is basically an emo Charlotte anyway, so size and build isn't really hugely the same build.
I fucking love that emo Charlotte.
Well, because you've loved it. Like I was being a bit sort of tongue in cheek with that, but like you've loved it when they went up against each other because they are very comparable in terms of style and stature. So, if you're going for someone like, I don't know, they're both even kind of quite credible, aren't they? Like Charlotte has obviously been a main roster talent for a long time and well established on it, but Rhea is really well established in NXT, and this would have been a good next step for her. So it still kind of bugs me that it wasn't her. But yeah, it's still a highlight for me. Nia and Shayna are no longer there. There's no reason for them to be a team anymore. That's a good thing.
I mean, it is, but there's also no need for the new champs to be a team anymore.
One hurdle at a time, Carl.
Well, yeah. I feel like they've gone, oh, here's 2 potatoes. Let's put them as a tag team. Oh, here's 2 oranges. Let's make them the new tag team. And it's like, but why?
What if we did potato and orange? Whoa.
It's orange. The team.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's still kind of a plus. I take your notes, Carl, and it is. I don't know where they're going to go with that either. But hopefully they are a temporary tag title holders and they get them taken by someone. Or hopefully people remember that you can go to any show and defend your tag titles with the women's tag titles. They seem to fucking forget that a lot. They've never been to NXT. Sasha and Bailey remembered that they could go to Raw if they wanted to defend them. But maybe let's remember that, guys. Keep that moving. I've said it over the men's ones. I've 1 set of belts between all the shows. It makes fucking sense. The women can prove that. Anyway. My last highlight, Carl, and this one doesn't have a negative unless you're going to bring one to the table. Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. That fucking delivered. What a match that was.
Don't even get me started on Kevin Owens, joking. What a fucking legend. Kevin Owens is back. What a fucking
best match of the night.
100%. It over-delivered. I think the Drew and AJ match that then turned into shenanigans was great up until that point. And then this one topped that massively. So I think so. Owens has been waiting for like months, for years probably, to get back in that main event scene. And he had the opportunity, and my God, I think, your headline is he fucking delivered, and oh my God, did he ever.
He fucking delivered.
It was fantastic. I thought he, even the way the match started, he just fucking took out Reigns. He didn't even have an entrance. He was just, I'm going to fucking beat the shit out of you. It was so good. And
it met so well with the build. Like, he's been talking, like, you're going to have to, basically, I'm either going to take the title or I'm going to die trying. And then he come out with such ferocity, and it's like, yeah. This makes sense.
I think as well, for him to be effectively be in a 2-on-1 match, because you had fucking Uso there, didn't you? So he did so well, I think, with that.
I think I'm not even bothered by the lot. Like, I know you joked before about he should have won, but we all knew Roman was going to not lose to Kevin Owens. We knew that was going to be the case. We just wanted a fucking banger of a match, and that's what we got. Like, I'm not upset that he lost because that was inevitable. But what a fucking match it was. And it was genuinely the best match of the night.
Like, the only 2 negatives I can pull out for this whole match. Number 1, Roman Reigns and his golden glove. That needs to fuck off. I'm so sick of seeing that. It's so fucking cartoony and stupid. It just needs to go. Like, you've got Roman Reigns finally being fucking taken seriously as, like, you know what, this guy is a heel. He's a fucking main event guy. He's got a fucking, what's his face? Thanos' fucking glove on. Like,
the man with the golden glove.
Yeah, awful. And yeah, I suppose the only other shite was just the fact that I don't think it did Reigns any justice. And it was great for Owens, and I'm a massive Owens mark, so that is good. But Reigns couldn't even get a win over Owens on his own, let alone with fucking Uso as well. And it kind of, for me, was like, oh, like, you've not done Reigns enough justice. And I feel like they've done a fantastic job over the last few months of making him seem like, the chief or head of the table, whatever fucking weird t-shirt they want to sell you. So that's been good. But at the same time, I felt like this was a complete opposite. And it was, if Uso wasn't there, he was losing about 5 or 6 times. And that isn't what you want, I guess, from, Reigns.
You shouldn't rely on the man. Yeah, I take your point.
Yeah, it should have been a lot more closely fought, and it should have been Owens could have won the belt once or twice on his own. But it was kind of just like, yeah, well, he could have won it 5 or 6 times, despite the fact it was effectively a 2-on-1. And yeah, I don't know.
I never looked at it like that, mate, but that is a fair point. Yeah, I think it probably, it hasn't been too damaging, but it probably didn't help matters. That really, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Give me a couple of hours, I'll probably be quite pissed off with that. Speaking of pissed off, let's move on to the old shite, shall we?
Nice.
So, let's pull away from our match of the night and to some strategically placed shocks, let's say.
Mm.
The pay-per-view itself was reasonably boring, if you think about it. Like, we had a lot of rematches or things we didn't really care much for. Like, Sasha and Carmella was already spent. We had it, and this was a rematch. And it actually didn't really deliver. Did I say the names right then? Carmella and Sasha
You
Banks.
did. I'm not sure I agree, but you
Really?
did.
I don't think that delivered as a match, you know.
So, firstly, how many rematches have we had of this?
They had one, like, a week ago on SmackDown.
Was it like just them two against each other for the title?
Yes.
Oh.
And it went to a DQ because I think Carmella hit her with a bottle or some shit.
Okay.
Or was it something to count out before she hit her with a bottle? Either way, shenanigans. So it never got a finish, but they did have a match for the title.
Okay. Fair dues. Maybe that is going to take away from my point a little bit, but I thought,
Good.
I don't know, I thought the match itself was fine. I don't think we needed whoever the fuck that guy is on the outside.
No, I still not sure.
I don't get that at all. But I thought, do you know what, Carmella, to be fair to her, she is a 2-time champion. Correct me if I'm wrong. And
She won it once with the help of James Ellsworth, didn't she?
I think she won both of her Money in the Banks, and therefore she was 2-time champ. But I could be wrong.
We'll go with that, yeah.
But effectively, you know, she's a 2-time champ and Queen of Staten Island, blah 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 blah. And now she's come out as, you know, not a massive gimmick change, as you will attest to, but at the same time, she's come out as a bit more formidable and believable. And I don't know. I thought she put on a fantastic match, and I thought Sasha, you know, puts on a really good match with anyone that she's kind of in the ring with. So all in all, the match itself had me sports entertained, as is the saying of the week.
That's a t-shirt waiting to happen.
But
I don't know. I don't think this delivered as much as it could have. I really don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Maybe I was expecting more because I've been surprised by them the last few weeks, but I don't know. It didn't deliver enough.
I mean, to be fair, you are the SmackDown correspondent, so it could be that it could be me from the outside thinking it was okay, but you know, I didn't even realize they'd already had a match properly. So you know, maybe you're better placed. But for me, you know, watching it as a neutral, I guess.
No, it's one of that. It purely is a personal preference, but I think that was one example I used to highlight the point. But I think if you look at the rest of the card, it wasn't a very entertaining card. We had, I would say, 2 good matches, and I'm interested in how you feel about the one we're going to talk about, because that had a lot of shock value and seems to be the most talked about thing. But I wasn't that impressed with the match. We had 2 good matches in the 2 title matches, and that was it. We had the Universal and the World title, both really good matches. As far as I'm concerned, the rest were okay. And that's kind of the problem. And I don't think it was for a pay-per-view, didn't exceed for me. So as an shite overall, I think if you take out those elements, it was quite a boring pay-per-view.
Interesting.
Another gripe that surely you're going to agree with me here, Carl, is the IC title holder or the entire IC title scene on a kickoff show that wasn't even anything to do with the IC title. It was some sort of weird tag match. Shows you how sort of disrespected the IC title is, I suppose.
I'm offended.
I was looking at that like, this is fucking shit. Because they even hinted on SmackDown, which I probably should have mentioned when I went through SmackDown, but it was kind of just okay. They even hinted about a feud between Big E and Sammy. Because Sammy, again, I probably should have talked about this on SmackDown. We'll talk about it now. They had a little funny skit between the 2 of them on SmackDown where Sammy was doing the Sammy Awards.
Yeah.
And Big E sort of messed with them and made himself the wrestler of the year or whatever. And they were clearly hinting that there's going to be maybe a feud between the 2. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I wouldn't mind Big E as the IC title holder for a bit. I think he's at least earned mid-card status. At least earned the workers belt, surely, for a bit. See if he runs with it. But how disrespected is this is a fucking... the legacy behind this title, Carl, and they're treating it like this. It's on a fucking kickoff show and not even acknowledged.
I am offended. I mean, I was offended when they had the new design. To be honest, I thought it looked like a piece of shit.
It's not the. I prefer the white strap. I think you maybe prefer the black, but
I mean,
the older style.
Yeah,
certainly.
I mean, I prefer that gold. I prefer the way it looks. Regardless of the color, whatever.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of the white one, but I think black for me was probably resonated more with like Bret Hart and stuff
exactly.
like that.
That was the one from like your nostalgia, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it Cody who brought in the white strap?
Yeah. And to be honest, like I popped for that. I thought it was amazing. It was a great throwback. So I don't want to take anything away from it. I think the white strap of the new era is probably much better than the white strap of the old era. Because obviously it was like Warrior and Shawn Michaels who had the color variants, but I think Cody's version was probably more memorable for me. I think the black version was definitely my favorite one. But that was a title that meant something. It was, as we said, it was the workhorse title. It was the guys who were able to carry the house shows and stuff when Hulk Hogan didn't want to make a fucking house show appearance. Who do you have?
Sadly, I think that's probably what's damaged the IC title, isn't it? That the whole culture's changed. Like, you never really saw your world champions as often. I mean, we don't even fucking have house shows now at the minute, but like you say, they were the big guys of like the house shows and that sort of thing, and they were the workers, and you knew most of them were going to head towards the main event scene at some point, and this was like a recognition of. It just doesn't work like that now. Let's be honest, Sami Zayn's never going to be a world champion.
But you know what though? I think to the point you made then, it was like you don't see the world title holders that often, kind of thing, and therefore that's when it shone. Well, we've been through a year or two of Brock Lesnar as the champ and never seen him.
It could have,
and we still never saw it. So I don't know. I feel like
that was a perfect opportunity. That was like from old Brock Lesnar's held it for 6,000 just like Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like from a promotion standpoint of WWE, they don't care about it anymore. And I think the new design of it is awful. I hate it with a passion.
It really is. Like it's so fucking. I don't even know. Whoever designed that wants to get the fucking eyes tested. To be honest with you,
I feel like a lot of the prestige of a title is in the way it looks and in the way of the people who hold it. And I feel like in this case, they've failed on both parts. They haven't had any title holders who you're like, oh fucking hell, they are the Intercontinental Champion, and the belt looks like a bag of shit. So all in all,
and bear in mind, we've had the US title being a fucking spinning disc, and it was better than this.
Infinitely better than the current one. Infinitely better than the IC title. So yeah.
Insane.
Wow.
So I needed to moan about the fact that disrespect for the IC title in this pay-per-view didn't sit well with me.
No.
And I knew it wasn't going to sit well with you, so it was an easy win. All right. My last one, Carl. And I'm curious, and I feel like you might agree with me. You haven't said nothing so far. I'm curious how you feel about this. I did not enjoy the Randy Fiend match. I'm going to keep calling it that. And
so Alexa made an appearance, I see.
And I don't know what the fuck that end was.
Yeah.
Like, is it a good thing? I don't know. Like, we had Goldberg bury the Fiend, and they had to try and one-up it, so Randy's just fucking burnt him alive. Like, it's still a fucking big loss to a character that was just building his momentum back. And are they going to continue with some sort of feud? Did Randy win? He won that match. Is it over? I don't know. Well, are we getting the Fiend back? Like, he's been burnt alive, man.
Well, Anthony, call me Natalie Imbruglia because I am torn. I don't know. I thought the match itself was interesting. It was captivating.
Can I just say, before we go any further, just to clarify that point, the reason I wasn't overly keen on the match was not some like they're both skilled in the ring. I hate when they introduce a gimmicky match with a gimmicky name and don't make themselves very clear on the rules. So
Yeah.
I'm like, is this an Inferno match as we know it? Or is this something different because you called it a Firefly Inferno match? Or like, what are the actual stipulations? And no one, not even before the match kicked off, before the bell rang, they could have even said it then. They could have waited till then.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what is the match? What are the rules? And they do it all the time. It's like strap matches no longer involve you having to tap all four corners. And do they bother explaining that? No, we just live with it.
Them just WWE things, they think we can't remember rules. We can't remember long, explanations of things. That doesn't happen. So instead, they tell us a gimmick title and then they just tell us who won. That's all we can comprehend.
But that's the thing. I saw bright lights and fighting, so I'm happy. Like,
pretty much, yeah. But no, I don't know. Like, I am torn because I thought there was some fantastic moments in this match, like Bray getting set on fire and just being like, "You bastard!" and like running to the ring while on fire and trying to go after him and like not even like really show the pain, and then obviously falls into an RKO. Like that was a boss segment. The whole "I'm going to set you on fire, Randy. I'm going to put you in the rocking chair." That was very symbolic. Obviously, he managed to make his way out in time. So there was all those good things. I think, in terms of the end and the finish. So I believe, to answer your previous question, the stipulation was called out at the finish that it was whoever got set on fire, and therefore, Fiend lost way a long time ago before the finish.
So they kept it going.
Yeah, and so he's in the ring.
See, more fucking stupidity.
Exactly. He'd been on fire. He's suddenly not on fire anymore. No one really told us how or why. And he's apparently knocked out from being on fire. I don't really know. But he lies there motionless in the ring, and then Orton just kind of goes, "You know what? I'm going to set you on fire." And I called it out in Raw, and I was like, well, why does Randy Orton want to kill this guy? Like, why does he want to set him on fire so bad? And yeah, he goes out and does it in the pay-per-view, and it's like, well, okay, I am prepared to, suspend disbelief. And I'm a big fan of Taker. I'm a big fan of the whole supernatural stuff that we've done in the past. Don't get me wrong, but you've just burnt a man alive on live TV for what? It's not even a title match. Like, what are you killing him for?
This is something that they've done because they can.
Yeah.
Because you would struggle to execute this in front of a live audience. So because they've had the time to do it, they've done it. They don't care if it makes a lot of sense. This was kind of stupid, and I'm a fan of the Fiend, and I love a good bit of storytelling. And there was definitely elements of storytelling here, but what was the story? Randy tried to burn things in the past, so Bray wants revenge, and Randy's gonna not give him that revenge because he's gonna burn things now as well. It's like, yeah, but why? We've never had Randy obsessed with fire, so why does he keep burning shit?
No. Like, to be fair, I think you made a fantastic point. It's like, well, what are we going to take away from this? And I think, they've taken away pictures of what seems like the perfect Inferno match. It's shock value. It's people seeing, Bray or the Fiend on fire like this. People seeing him lying there being burnt alive. And from a social media age, people are going to look at that and go,
this is the fucking annoying thing, Carl. We've rewarded WWE because it's all we're fucking talking about.
Yeah, true.
That image is everywhere.
Yeah.
Or even you and me have joked about it on social media.
Exactly. So we are glorifying what they've done, which is...
And they're going to do it again?
Yeah, well, I mean, you would do. But no, I don't know. I think it's... I wasn't expecting it to go this way. I didn't think the Fiend would lose. I'm a bit upset that he's lost again, to be fair. And I know that, like, the way out of it is that he can get pinned, like Goldberg, which we were more fuming about. So I kind of get it, but it's still a loss, and it's what happens to the character now? Where in kayfabe, where has Alexa Bliss been?
Well,
that's the thing. Us that. I know she's got like holidays and she's off for a bit, and it was already planned. But where is she going to telly? And now the Fiend is dead. So we're just going to see the fire. Fun house.
Gonna rock back up on Raw, like, right, I'm ready to. Oh
God!
Wow. I think Bray's going to have a bit of time off. We're going to have a few fun house skits that are just Alexa with an N. Calling it now. I also think that, when you look at the history of things, it makes it worse, because I'm now looking at this like, okay, he got set on fire in the end and that put him down, right? But like, as you rightly say, he was on fire during the match and weren't bothered by it. So the Fiend is now a man, right, who can withstand fire to a degree. He can be on fire and still continue with the match. But if you jackhammer him, he's fucking done. 3 minutes, not going to last.
True.
Like, that's how stupid the Goldberg shit was.
Or based off last night, an RKO, because
An RKO?
he was quite happy to go and continue the match, and he got RKO'd and he was dead. So
fire didn't bother him. It was the RKO that did it.
well, exactly.
Do you know, I want a coroner's report now for that. Cause of death, RKO.
Yeah. Really? He was set on fire. No, that was okay. It was the RKO that killed him.
Definitely the RKO.
Yeah.
It says here.
Legend killer, literally.
But I don't know. I wasn't as into the match as you were, I guess. But overall, I think we can both agree the finish was like, I really don't know where they're going to go now. Like, I don't even know where they're going to go with Randy. Like, he's not going to keep feuding with Drew. He's, I assume, dealt with the Fiend unless they're going to try and continue that on for a bit.
Well, I imagine
he'll come back and just spear him out of nowhere.
I was going to say, I imagine it's going to be Edge. I assume he's nearly ready to come back, so he probably would just keep him busy for the last few weeks until he got cleared. So,
although let's be honest, like realistically, if you were Edge, you'd look at it and go, "Yeah, I'm not going to fight Randy."
Just killed the guy
crazy.
last week.
Randy Orton killed a guy.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a match with that guy. No. Fuck that. And I hate to say it, Carl, and I don't want to, like, you sat down.
Yeah.
I think wrestling might be fake.
What? Don't be one of them, Anthony.
I'm sorry, but I'm just really struggling to believe that Randy Orton actually killed a guy. I'm starting to think it might be fake.
But it's still real to me. Damn it!
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, it was an okay pay-per-view for me. I'm probably going to give it, for the sake of the two matches I really thoroughly enjoyed, I'll probably give it a 3. You know, it was a decent pay-per-view. It could have been better. And I'm almost talking myself out of this down to a 2.5, but I'm going to give it a 3 because, let's face it, it was very talkable. It was very newsworthy. There were some really good matches. I'm convincing myself into a 3. That's where I'm landing. It is a 3. What?
I'm on mute. Do you know what, Anthony? It's a 3 from me as well.
What? We've agreed on one?
Shock horror. I honestly thought it was a really decent pay-per-view. I thought, the finish to the Inferno match was a bit squiffy. I wasn't a fan of the whole tag team thing with Charlotte coming back, so that was another big takeaway. But everything else was pretty much good or decent. So for me, it gets a 3.
To be honest,
I thought it was good.
I've actually talked myself into a 3 during this conversation, which is probably annoying for anyone who wants consistency out of me, because I started out going, it was kind of boring, and the more I've talked about it, I've slowly talked myself into a 3 because
it's one of the highest ratings you've ever given. But,
right? So because the more I talk about the good stuff, I'm like, no, actually, yeah, I'm probably being unfair, and that's why we talk about these things, isn't it? So we can both agree it was a solid 3.
A solid 3, which is better than a solid 2, as they say.
Better than a loose 2.
This was probably a loose 2. It wasn't a solid 2. It was a loose 2. But Anthony, we've done it. You've made it again.
TLC.
All the things. Segment 3. The news. This Week in Wrestling. We've done it.
But Carl, where can people find us?
Where can they find us? Have you tried your local Yellow Pages? No. Other than that, you can find us on...
Not even track with the Yanks. They have Yellow Pages.
So, you may have noticed, eye-looking emoji, that our hashtags, our @, our other things may have changed. So you can still find us on all of the social medias: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, now Snapchat, on our new name of A to the K Wrestling.
A to the K.
One
Wrestling.
name, consistent. No A to the K WT, no A to the K WrestleTalk long thing elsewhere. Just A to the K wrestling. That's it.
It's
You
more
know,
refined, much
more
like
refined.
ourselves.
It is. And, after not even a year doing what we do, maybe there's going to be some more refinements coming in the
There
new
will be
year.
changes afoot.
We're going through changes. But yeah, so you can follow us on all them places. You can, of course, if you're listening to us now, what are you doing? Listen to us and watch us at the same time. Look at our beautiful faces. Look at us on the YouTubes. But yeah, so we are available everywhere. You can follow us everywhere. We say this every week, but look behind you. We're probably there because that's what we do. But no, we are growing. We've got some exciting things ahead in the new year, and we are looking forward to unveiling them to you early doors in 2021. But yes, this is our Christmas episode. Next week, Anthony, I think we are coming back with a end of year review where we look back on some of our highs and lows. Maybe even a look back on the very first Rumble Talk. And seeing how far we've come or not, maybe in the last.
You want us to talk about how we talked about something.
That's it.
That's what you're getting next week. As much as a joke about it, it'd be interesting to look back and see how because I'm confident we were probably pretty awkward back then. We're kind of awkward now, but I'm confident we were because we were a lot less comfortable back then. So I think it's gonna be a good.
Now we've got different couches and stuff, so we're way more comfortable. But yeah, it's been real, guys. Yeah, it's been real. It's been several months in the making of bringing you a weekly episodic podcast that has just grown from strength to strength, and we're excited. God damn it, we're excited.
God damn
about our season 2 reset.
Season 2
will be unveiled
coming 2021.
2021.
And guys, this is the last show before Christmas, so we're gonna have our end of the year special, of course. But this is the big guy's coming, old Saint Nick.
He is.
So we're not going to see you before then. So we hope you get everything that you asked for Christmas, of course.
Yeah, including.
We hope you get your A to the K merch.
Yeah, I was going to say. what makes a Christmas? A to the K's merch. Which please maybe not buy, because we may be updating that very soon. Just saying. So,
that's true. Yeah.
Not to talk us out of sales, but at the same time. We care about you a little bit, so yeah, you don't need to spend loads of money on stuff.
True that. So so have a fantastic Christmas, guys. We will see you all next week for our end of the year special.
Our final 2020 show.
Final show of 2020.
But yeah, have a lovely Christmas, and we will see you next week. Take care.
Bye.
Monopoly Events presents For the Love of Wrestling, Europe's largest wrestling convention, back in Liverpool, the Exhibition Centre, between the 15th and 16th of May. Guests this year include Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, the Icon, the Showstopper, Mr. WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels, 3-time WWE champion, 3-time TNA champion. Things are about to get extreme with Jeff Hardy, 7 times Women's Champion, Diva of the Decade and Hall of Fame star Trish Stratus, Grand Slam winner and the wrestling god John Bradshaw Layfield. These and many, many more will be joining us in Liverpool. Find us on Facebook at For the Love of Wrestling. Visit our website fortheloveofwrestling.co.uk. For tickets for entry and guests, visit ticketquarter.co.uk. That's ticketquarter.co.uk. For the Love of Wrestling, by the fans, for the fans.
Hey everybody, this is Thunder Rosa and you're watching or listening A to the K.